Hello everyone, my name is Greg and I dev stuff. Welcome everyone to episode 9 of Yakuza-like game in Unity. In this episode we will introduce an ability to interact with object. This episode is brought to you by generous support of people on Patreon and members on YouTube. If you want to join them, link to my Patreon in the description and join button available right now on YouTube. Today we want to make it possible to interact with objects on the scene, and we want to make a system which will allow us to easily and quickly assemble and place interactable objects on the map. So let's drop some cube on the scene, as an object we will be interacting with. Create another new script called interactable. Open the newly created script. We will be interacting with objects through this script. Create a new method called interact, where we will pass the actor as a parameter. Actor is the object which is interacting with this interactable object. It will be a player for the most times. Inside this newly created method, call debug log and put some message inside this debug log. Good. Now we need a way to call the interact from the character. Select the character and add and create a new script called interaction controller. Inside the script, we will describe the process of detecting and interacting with the interactable object on the scene. For this, we will need two serialized fields, box pivot and box half size. Box pivot is going to be used for the object we will use to identify position where we want to cast the overlap box, which will be detecting the interactable objects. The box half size is the half size of the overlap box. Create a new method called checkInteract. Inside we will be detecting an interactable objects in front of our character. To do this, we will cast overlap box in position of box pivot. Then cycle through all the colliders inside this overlap box. And check if this collider has an interactable component, and in case it does, call interact and break out of the cycle. Back to the editor, we need to create an interact pivot object on the player. Place it in front of the player. Set the field in the editor. Good. Now we need to call the interact method. Now we need to add interact to the player input. I explained this process many times before, so I will not repeat myself. Inside the player interact, call checkInteract method. If the interact is pressed, let's test this. Good. As you can see, if I stand in front of the object and press interact, it will post the debug message into the console. Now what we want to do is to show some kind of interaction that we can interact with the object. So let's add a prompt on the screen. Create a text object. Create a field for this text object in Interaction Controller. Assign this object to the field. Good. Now if there is an object in front of us, we want to show the interact prompt. To implement this, we need a way to keep the reference to the object inside the interactable area for the player. So let's go back to the editor. We want to create another new component called interactable area to the interactable pivot. add box collider to it, and mark this collider as trigger. We will be using the box collider trigger as our way to detect interactable objects instead of using overlap box. Using moving trigger collider is not very efficient, but it will be fine for now, and if it will cause issues later on, we will address it when it will cause an issue. Create a list of interactable objects. Then in onTriggerEnter, check if the object has an interactable. If it does have an interactable component, check if this object is not present in the list of interactable objects. If it isn't, add this object to the list. We will do opposite in the onTriggerExit. So if the object which is leaving the interactable area have an interactable component, remove it out of the list. Initiate the list on the start. In the interaction controller, create serialized field for interactable area. Create a new method called checkInteractableArea, and inside call interact on the first interactable object inside the list of objects in the interactable area. Call checkAreaInteract instead of checkInteract. If we launch a game right now, it will work exactly as the same as before, which is what we want. Good. Now we simply need to show or hide the interact prompt if there is an object inside the list. Good. Good, this is it for this episode. If you have any questions or any ideas about code, please leave your comment below. If you are interested in seeing what will come out of this, please subscribe. If you want to support further, you can find my Patreon in the description. Special thank you to Andrew V. Long for his generous support. With best regards, see you in the next episode.